I'll just wait till some people come in the room. I know I'm a little late. Oh, hell. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining. Welcome to the recap. Once again, it's just a recap show of everything that's going on during the week, from politics to entertainment, you name it. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to drop them in the box. It would greatly appreciate it. And if you feel like coming on, the link is in there. I just ask that you be respectful of the chat and others, and especially my platform. And of course, you're welcome. Hey, Petty Duke, how you doing? I'm sorry, something just popped up talking about cats test positive for the coronavirus, but vets warn that it isn't necessary for the COVID-19. So I don't know. It just seems to get worse and worse. I don't know about this. But anyway, how's everybody's week been? Those of us who's been in the house in quarantine, hopefully you're doing well. And those of us who are essential personnel, hopefully you guys are being safe, and thank you for your service and, keeping us all just together and, doing your jobs to either keep us healthy or protect us. Appreciate you. Hey, Brother Nate, how you doing? Okay, so first, of course, let's talk about the stimulus package. I mean, it's a good thing. It's definitely, hey, Brielle, how you doing? It's definitely a good thing for the people, I guess, that would receive it. A little extra money, I guess, for anybody would be a great thing, especially during this time. However, everything comes with a price. Do know that somewhere down the line, this will be a price that has to be paid. Personally, I'm not sure if it'll push people to vote for him, because I really don't think so. I think a lot of damage has already been done with the pullout for this. The fact that there are so many people actually dying from this, more people than are probably being reported, because of the simple fact reporting the real numbers would make this man look a lot worse. And he's all about appearances. So I'm sure that a lot of the data that we should be getting, we don't get because, they don't want to look too bad on him. So I'm not sure if it'll help him in the polls or not. That is a bad habit of mine. I procrastinate when I have to write stuff and do stuff like that, but it always comes out really great when I do that. So I don't know. Something that I haven't shaken all these years, but anyway, yeah. So, the Senate Congress actually did put a hold on the stimulus because, of course, there were a lot of Donald Trump is in the hotel industry, and a lot of the hotels were going to get bailout funds because of the simple fact that that's how they make their money. And the Trump brand has been underwater since the start of this because people have not been, renting rooms. And how people was getting favor with this president is they would rent out a block of rooms in his hotels just to get an audience or just to, get a phone call or what have you from the president. So that's what people were doing. Their money has kind of, been stagnant. not only has he been doing that, but he's also been using the government and charging the government to use his hotels. When the Secret Service go and they accompany him, they have to stay in a Trump hotel, and he then bills the government, which is the taxpayers. So he's been doing this for a while, and people say, it's against the law for him to do it. Why does he do it? But he's been doing it. So now that we come to this point, they were going to receive stimulus money because he's underwater. So his hotel brand was also in cahoots to get money. Now Congress was saying, well, that's not fair. Donald Trump and his family should not be able to also get money from the government, sitting president. I'm not particularly sure if they worked out those details before they actually passed it. I haven't read anything more that actual detail of it was, given up. If it is a way, I'm not sure if the president will actually sign it, because why would he sign it if he's going to lose money? I don't know. Yeah, he's been charging like $600 a room for rooms that only go for, I think, regularly around $1 and change to $200. So they've been overcharging government officials like the Secret Service or any detail that has to accompany him into with his properties. So it's like a lot. It's a lot of money. The Secret Service so far, I think it was 220,000. I will double check that, but I'm sure it's in the hundreds of thousands right now, that the Secret Service has been charged to stay at Trump resorts and hotels. That's what I want to talk about. And also, let's continue to pray for the states that are being impacted from the coronavirus. New York is definitely at the epicenter right now. The doctors, the nurses, even the governor is calling for more aid and more help. And, Trump seems to not want to give it. I understand, not that I understand why, like it makes sense, but knowing how he thinks, it's because you didn't vote for him. I'm sure that if New York was like a red state, like a Florida or anything like that, he would run to their aid and make sure that they had the aid and stuff that they needed to combat this virus, because New York is more of a Democratic state overall. And yes, they have pockets of Republican legislators, but overall, New York is a Democratic state. That he does not feel the rush to help New York with its supplies and things of that nature. The governor had asked for 30,000 ventilators. He only sent 400. I mean, if that's not just pure disrespect, I don't know what is. Yeah, I surely will. How you doing, Miss Piggy? Welcome to the room. Wow. I've learned in some places, a friend of mine actually told me that some places are charging you to take the test for the COVID-19, even if you think you have symptoms. And they were charging him $150. So that could be an issue too. If people have to be charged that amount of money to just take the test to see if they have it, this will stop a lot of people from actually taking the test, because some people don't have. I mean, right now we're in crisis mode. Some people don't even have it enough to buy supplies to last out the week, let alone buy a test for $150 to see if he has it. No, I think some jobs. He actually works for the public bus in Miami, and they want their employees to take the test, and they're charging $150 for the test. Now, I was like, is it a private bus company? Because if it's a private bus company, I understand that. He said no, it's with the city, so I don't understand why. But then again, it is Florida. I don't understand why they would charge their employees to pay for a test to make sure that they don't have it. So that's crazy. Um, yes, and all this definitely brings to light why it's important to vote for your local elections. We do not need to just focus on these presidential elections because they're all in our face. Um, it's the big thing. It's the big ticket. The big ticket is your local election. Excuse me. You have to make sure that when you're voting, especially for your locals, though the local elections are the ones that implement all of the things that come from the top. So, for example, your governor is like a president, right? He's the president of the state in which he governs. So anything that may come from Congress that particular governor may not like, you may not receive it in your state. And that all depends on what your local legislation looks like. If your local legislation is Republican mainly and your governor is Republican, you will only get a lot of Republican things that may come from the top, and vice versa. If it's Democratic, you may get a lot of Democratic programs that come from the top, and that's why a lot of states differ with abortion rights and rights in general, hate crimes, and all those things, because it all depends on who's at the top. So that's why it's important to make sure that when you're voting, you vote local as well. And those happen usually every 2 years after the main election. So a lot of times we only pay attention to the 4 years to vote presidential, and all the other things go by the wayside. That is why we have, a Senate now that's majority Republican, because we don't take the time to be just as invested in this presidential election as we do in the midterms. So at this point, we can tell without no other evidence that this man does not know how to run a country, let alone a business. Hey, how you doing, Wiggs? So I don't think there's any other need for anybody to see that he has no idea what he's doing, which in some ways is fine, because not everybody knows how to be president. They just don't. It's something that I guess you learn over time, but you should at least know how to conduct yourself to handle a crisis, to be empathetic as well as sympathetic. And the fact that he's even said that he would prefer the governors to bribe him with praise in order for them to receive aid. He said it himself on Fox News in an interview. And I know he says things to kind of sensationalize and get you to talk about what he said rather than what's really going on, because that's his tactic that he uses all the time. And the media does fall for it. Oh God, did you hear Trump? Oh God, did you hear Trump? And then we lose sight of everything that's happening. The people that he's taking off of food stamps in the midst of a crisis. Like 700,000 people, they're trying to get off food stamps. They're trying to eradicate Social Security for a lot of people with disabilities as well as seniors. So there's a lot of things happening at the same time as this pandemic is happening. You have Mitch McConnell working to get these federal judges on the bench that are pro-Trump kind of elitists, to lock that down. So again, as much as we worry about what's going on as far as this pandemic, they are still moving this train. And it's sad that the lives are being lost simply because somebody did not want to adhere to, hey, this thing that's happening in China can come this way. Let's prepare ourselves. Let's get ourselves ready. He sat there and called it a hoax. He said it was fake news or fake this and fake that. And now he wants to pull, he's, filing lawsuits against any company or media company that will play his commercial or play the commercial where in which he said these things, that it was fake and it was phony and it was a hoax. calling it slander and that they're making up and lying on him. And I just feel like at this point, when do we stop playing games with this man? Like, when do we stop um, kind of pacifying his lack of not even being a president, but just his lack as a person, period? I do understand that people, voted for him for whatever reason, but I personally feel like you voted for him because, I don't see no other way. We obviously know he's a bigot, he's a racist. So if you don't fall in line with any of that, then why would you vote for him? Obviously, you do in some way. And you could be black and you could be Hispanic and you could be a person of color and still feel that way about your people or other people. It's unfortunately, but it's how some people think. Yeah, Trump does care about his fame and his money, but overall, he cares more about his image and what you think about him. Personally, I think because he was always a child who tried to make sure he looked good in his father's eyes or some mess like that, because I just feel like it is it's just something he does. I'm sorry, I'm just going back up to kind of get everybody's things in. Yeah. And a lot of the governors are stepping up to try and handle this pandemic and this crisis, the mayors as well, the best way they can. And so I employ everyone. I know it's hard. It's difficult to be in the house or, to kind of keep yourself occupied. But if your state or city does, issue some sort of curfew or lockdown for the time being, please just try to adhere to it. It is not just for the safety of you, but it is for the safety of your fellow citizens, to make sure that we can kind of curve this down and stop the spread as much as we can until they can get it under control. But I'm sure the same pandemic was during when the flu first, came about, all these things, and all these different viruses, even with Ebola and all these different things, there was a set of nervousness and panic, but it all depends on who is at the helm. When President Obama was at the helm, people were still nervous and scared, but it was a way in which it was handled. You kind of handle it first. You go to the place, you deal with what it is, why is it spreading, what can we do to combat it. You work with the people there at the ground zero, nonetheless, to kind of get ahead of it. But of course, this man just always thinks that, there's no, it's not going to get us, or, America's strong, or America's this, America itself is an ideology. Let's be very clear. It's not a person. It's not a physical strength. It's not, somebody with a stars and stripe bandana with muscles and something. I don't know. Sometimes it just makes me like cringe the way people think of themselves in this country. I just find it to be absolutely ridiculous, and I'm appalled that people with sense, regardless if you voted for him or not, or if you're on his bandwagon, don't say anything. They kind of just let things go, and nobody says anything. Nobody stands up to him in his party to say, hey, you can't do this. This isn't right. You said, in my opinion, Trump doesn't care about a decent image. Really, you think so, Miss Piggy? I think he does. I think he only cares about his image to the people that are loyal to him. So, in other words, if his quote unquote base starts to turn from him because of something he did, then he'll switch it to make sure it appeases them. I think this proves fragile our system is. Yeah, it does. It does, but the system will be fragile when you gut it. That's just like if you take a house and you completely gut it out, and you leave nothing but, you know, a shell and bones, it's going to be fragile. And that's just what he did to the government. Once he went in there, he gutted everybody out. Anybody he felt was an Obama loyalist, he got rid of them and replaced them with people who had nothing to do with that part of government or government at all. And so you're left with people not knowing how to run a department, a man up top who doesn't know how to run a department. So, you know, it's a mess all over. And it's sad that we get to a place where people are losing their lives and emergency personnel asking for help. Like, seriously, hey, we need help. This thing is larger and getting larger by the day. It is spreading in New York. It is spreading, of course, to the boroughs like Queens, the Bronx. It's already been in Manhattan. You know, so it's getting wings and it's growing faster than these people can kind of get a handle on, because we don't know really what causes it. And people, you know, they're throwing out theories or whatever, but it's growing so fast that one minute you say, okay, if you stay indoors, you cover your face, you do this, you do that, you're okay. There's some people who have bought masks and purchased things, and they come to find out that they're positive. So now is the question, is there something in us that can exacerbate the COVID-19? Maybe if you already have a history of bronchitis or history of asthma. I mean, they say, you know, those people are the most vulnerable at this point, but who knows if that is if what it is. I mean, it's that scary at this point. And not that we should live in fear or anything like that, but it's the not knowing what's causing it, why is it spreading so fast, is the issue for me anyway. Right, right. And understand that these people, you know, we like to think of these things and Mardi Gras and spring break as just things that Americans go to. No, these things are global. There are people from all over the world that come to these events and things just to be a part of. As Americans, we have this kind of naive thinking in some of us that, you know, we only stick to certain things American, or we only go to certain things. Europeans and people other than Americans, they travel all over and all the time for vacation, and they go everywhere. So, you know, it's possible that a lot of these things could have been spread through travel and all these things. So it's just something to be mindful of and to really pay attention to. But anyway, moving past that, I don't know if any of you heard. Of course, Joe Biden is in the news again. There was a sexual assault accuser that's breaking her silence with graphic allegations back in 1993. I don't know. For me, at this point, I'll just say this. If we're going to bring up accusers, and I'm not saying every accuser should be heard, that's one. But if you're going to hold Joe Biden to this accuser and then possibly make him step down from his run as president, and you didn't do nothing to the man who's in office, I think that would be a total disservice for the Democratic Party. I mean, I hope they don't, but I don't know. At this point, it's hard to tell what they'll do. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. I've heard something similar to that it attacks your of course your lungs and your your breathing ability. So you might want to, I don't know, but just make sure you're taking your vitamin C, please, um, and whatever else you take to kind of keep your immune system as healthy as you possibly can. I mean, because there's no way we can always keep our immune systems um, in A1 tip top shape because of maybe any previous conditions or anything that we may be going through. But you can do the best you can and just, be smart and protect yourself. Keep your social circles small around the people that you are around the most. Try not to, go too far or extend yourself. Although some neighbors was having a party yesterday, and I was like, oh God, cringing. What seems hypocritical, Patty Duke? Sorry. Yep. But oh yeah, you talking about Joe Biden thing? Yeah, I think it would be hypocritical, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the road that they try to. I would find it a bit crazy if they do. Again, if you didn't nail this guy for all of the sexual allegations that have been put out about him, and he's still president, let alone running again to be president for another term, I think to call his out as a sense of, oh, we need to pay attention to this, he might have to step down, is ridiculous. Now, maybe he can, if he can address the accusations and, atone for them the best way he can, because I think that is definitely something that you should do. First of all, you should never discount anyone's um, allegations. You should then address them, apologize for whatever role you may have played in it, um, and try to move forward. I don't really see it being um, anything other than that. I mean, really, honestly, I just find it to be. But then again, who knows? I mean, just like they asked for uh, Bernie Sanders' tax returns, and he first said that he would release them, and now he's saying he will not, as well as his health records or anything like that. He said he would release them, and now he's saying he won't. If he's doing it just because they let Trump do it, I don't know. But I mean, who's to say? Once you let one person do it, then you can't hold everybody else to the same standards as before because you let someone get away with it. That's not the political way. No, I mean it's not, but he has ushered in a, some kind of new nuance, a new political way, which I find it to be ridiculous. But hey, how you doing, Redbone B? How you doing? How you doing? He has ushered in this different uh, kind of turning your nose up to the rules or to how things go that has created this huge problem. I mean, we wouldn't be in this situation if he didn't want to release his tax returns. They made him release it anyway because every candidate has done so. And then you would have seen, hey, this is all messed up. He's in bed with the Russians, this, that, and the other. And then you could still choose to vote for him if you chose to, but everything would be out in the open. You know who you're dealing with. You know you'd be dealing with a cheat, crook, someone who does underhanded, back behind deals, who wants to make money while in office, all of that. Yeah, we do go further down the rabbit hole, but we've already started going. Once he was elected, we already jumped in the rabbit hole anyway, because a lot of the norms that would keep someone like him from even getting in office, they forego. And therefore, by letting him in, you already, you've already done it. Now, I mean, there's a way you can come back from that, I guess, if you start implementing the rules again, um, and being stricter to them and making sure everyone follows them. But at this point, who's going to do that? Right. I feel the same way. If you're not going to play by the rules, you shouldn't be allowed to play in the game. However, at this point, though, because you didn't allow him, you allowed him not to play by the rules. Anyone, be that Democrat or Republican, I feel that anyone at some point will use the. It's a dryer. Sorry. I feel like anybody that is running will implement his kind of, well, I'm going to tell you, and then go back and say, well, no, I'm not. I don't have to. Just because you let this man get away with it, and people will try their hand at this point. Yeah, right. Trump threw the book out the window, and I'm waiting to see if somebody will sit there and pick the book back up and say, hey, no, we got to play by these rules. People say that, like Joe Biden says, no, we need to bring decency back to America. But I beg to wonder if they do pry into, well, why did you get your son the job in Ukraine or whatever, that he may not choose to go into detail as far as what he, did he use any of his political influence to obtain that job for his son? I don't think he will, because again, you let the man get away with, you let Trump not say or disclose all of his information. I just think people will do it. Once you let somebody get away with it, they'll just continuously do it. Right. Yeah. And nepotism, they all do it. They all have their way about it. So I don't know. That would be interesting. So that happened this week. Of course, we lost the great Reverend Joseph Lowery, who was known as the dean of the civil rights movement. He was 98 years old. His career started with a police encounter, which led him into the civil rights movement. Him working closely with Dr. King and Jesse Jackson. He was the co-founder of the SCLC, which is the Christian Leadership Conference for Civil Rights Organization, with Dr. King. And they helped, of course, as you know, they helped pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964 when Lyndon Johnson was president. So that is definitely sad. A great man, has done great things up until, he could not, always, doing speaking engagements and things of that nature. And it's always great to see. I've been to one of his engagements once in my life, and it's great to see, for me, to see people who've like been in the civil rights movement and hear them speak about what sparked them to usher in this change that we benefit from, that I definitely don't take for granted. The lives lost, the people falsely imprisoned, and all this stuff still goes on today, which I don't understand when people, turn their nose up to it or go, oh, that happened so long ago. What do you mean? It's still happening today. People are wrongly imprisoned and jailed and spend years behind bars to later, find out that they have been innocent this whole time. And then when they try to sue the city and state for being wrongly imprisoned, sometimes the state, goes back and forth so long that, some people wind up not really getting any money because they're spending all this money and time in legal fees and things of that nature, or the amount is so low, it's just ridiculous. You take somebody, you take 30 years of their life away from them, and you think $2 million is enough. So I don't know. I have no idea, but I just think that is it's definitely sad, and condolences go out to the family. But lived a long life full of history. He said that he wondered. I read a quote from him. He was saying that he wondered why he lived so long, and all of his friends during the civil rights movement and people that he's grown to love have passed on. And he said that he felt that the Lord kept him around to always be a voice to show the injustice that was happening to people of color and poor people. So I thought that was great. And it's always, it's always something to keep in mind in your forefront that, yeah, we take these things for granted. We take going outside and just going to the bathroom without it being colored or, white only or any of that for granted. But people live through that. And it, people lost their lives because of it. Because if they had to go to the bathroom and they just said, you know what, forget it, I'm going to sneak in here because I have to go that bad, instead of going to the colored bathroom that was maybe some ways away. People were beat, people were, lynched. These things happen. So, it's definitely something to focus on it and really take into account. Yeah. Living history is definitely important. Right. Definitely. I mean, and during this time, yeah, we should be teaching and and reading ourselves. This is a time that maybe we need to just sit down and read more, and really be knowledgeable about things and what's going on in the world. Yeah, you can. There's always time for entertainment, and that's important too. Hey, Lenti, how you doing? That's important too, but it's always you got to study to show yourself approved. You have to read and keep yourself abreast on what's going on and how to combat things. And it's a stress reliever too. You can read things on how to keep yourself calm during these times, and how to focus your energy maybe on other things, be more creative, do some creative things, arts and crafts, or anything really. I think would be a good idea. Also, I know I wanted to talk about this. That's just popped up on my thing too. A man by the name of Gangster Khalif D confessed to the murder of Tupac Shakur in his book. It was a book he wrote. If I can find it, hold on one second, because I pulled it up. I was arrested trying to find the name of the book. It's listed as he's shocking book. Okay, what was the name of the book? Okay. When I get to the name of the book, I will be able to tell you the book. But the man's name is Khalif D. Davis. He confessed to his part in the murder of Tupac Shakur along with his nephew. And this police officer who's been on the case, he's been working the case of Tupac's murder since he was fatally shot in September of 96 at the age of 25. Greg Kading. And he's been doing undercover work, and he has a lot of Netflix. I think he did have a part in that Netflix series about Tupac and Biggie, but he's been doing a lot of research on who really killed Tupac and so on and so forth. But this book is coming out with Khalif D. Davis admitting, of course, that him and an accomplice killed Tupac in a shocking book on documentaries. Speaking to The Sun, Greg 58 said that Khalif D did Khalif D needed to be arrested and that he self-confessed to a murder. He confessed publicly multiple times in his role in Tupac's murder. And I cannot think of any case in American crime history where confessing a murder is allowed to continue to keep in the involvement of a crime. Former detectives bewildered Las Vegas. I'm trying to find the name of the book, but I don't seem to see it. Oh, okay. It was Khalif spoke on the death in a memoir of his life called Compton Street Legend, a story he hoped to turn into a film of his life, according to The Sun. So the name of the book is Compton Street Legend, where he talks about how him and his nephew were actually the ones who killed Tupac. So, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, he said he was with someone else. He said him and his nephew. Yeah, he did say that him and his nephew actually murdered Tupac. And I, don't know. People say a lot of salacious things to sell books and to get their story told or to have a movie made. So don't know. However, the officer, the detective who's been, since he was put on the case from the beginning and been doing documentaries and he says that he should have been arrested a long time ago. It's on Amazon. Okay, cool. I am a Audible person myself, so I can't, because I like to be doing other things while I'm listening, so I can listen and take my notes when need be. Right, right. And then again, who snitches on themselves publicly, and knowing that I don't even know. Is there a statute of limitations to that? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't think so. I think if they can prove it somehow, I think he would still be facing charges, but you won't be buying the book. I don't know. I would like to see what he's talking about. I mean, I'm not really into the whole like a Donald Gomes or kind of street life stuff. I mean, I've read them, but they're just not my thing. Oh, not for murder, no. Okay, well, but then again, it has to be proven. Just because he said it, I mean, some way there has to be some connection um, with him in the case. Yeah, there's no statute of limitation on murder. Got it. Just give you the cliff notes. Yeah, I mean, I'm a cliff noter too, but hmm, I think it's interesting. I mean, I think both murders. I think it's deeper than just the one person. Personally, I think um, Tupac. I bet Tupac. I think what's his name, the big guy, Suge Knight would be a suspect to me. Um, Puff Daddy would be a suspect to me. Only because at the time the artists were taking different avenues and they were the golden gooses of their particular labels. So you would think that somebody who's bringing in all this money and then they say, hey, I want to go a different direction. I want to do more movies. You don't think a head of a company, you making millions of dollars for them, would feel some type of way that you want to go a total different direction and start doing movies and less of what you're giving me? Yeah. Even with Biggie's situation, I think he wanted to take a whole different turn. He didn't want to do the shiny suits and the kind of hip hop rap that Puffy was ushering after a while, and he wanted to change. And I think them people, they got nervous. You start to get nervous that, hey, I'm not gonna be able to push out the money. Get another artist to push out like this artist. I can't lose this artist. Well, what can you do once you have the rights to the music that will, that are big sellers? I just think that they have a role to play in it. And then just the way, even Puffy, the way how he conducts business with his artists, keeping them in contracts for years, making them basically buy out their things. Even when recently Mace asked for his stuff back, and Puffy told him, "Oh, well, there's some guy that wants to buy it. If you can outbid him, then I'll give it to you." I mean, come on, that's ridiculous. Which I don't think that there's nobody that wants to buy it. He wants to keep it. It's the same thing that I think he did with Biggie. But again, that's just my opinion. Just right. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Yeah, he wanted his masters back. Yeah. But yeah, and it's always an issue with artists wanting their masters. And those artists that have been smart enough to know, when they do sign contracts, that they get a percentage of their masters, or either, get to keep their masters wholeheartedly. Kudos to them. But a lot of artists, they seen the money and, thought about the fame and all that, and they didn't really think about the long term, what owning your masters would mean for you, and the ability of owning your masters, what you can do with that, and how you can take your music and go elsewhere and do other things with it. So yeah, independent is the way to go. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people make it independently, but some people don't. And it's all about, I guess, your push, your drive, like a Master P kind of situation. He did his independently. He was selling it out the trunk of his car. I'm sure they were close to homelessness, if not homeless at some point, been doing this. But his drive and his tenacity to keep pushing and keep doing. He even said he turned down $1 million because they were going to give him $1 million for his stuff. And he figured that, hey, if they're going to give me $1 million just for this, I know I'm worth more. I know what I have is worth more. If they're going to give me $1 million and try and take it from me, I know I'm worth more. So he kept pushing and driving until he was able to surpass the fortune that he has. But yeah, I think a lot of these deals have been crooked and shady, and a lot of artists have gone by the wayside because of it. Hey, how you doing, Armand? What's going on? But I will say this: I know that I think it was Waka or somebody was asking why didn't Jay-Z and Puffy and everybody come together and create a label where in which it would not kind of force these new artists into some sort of like slavery deal. And I'm saying to myself, well, Puffy's a part of that culture, so I don't see Puffy doing that because that's what Puffy does. So I don't know. Oh no, you fine, Lynn T. I figured I knew what you're saying. It's quite all right. But yep. So that was that. So let me know what you think. Anybody got any questions, comments, or concerns? I did put the link in there, but nobody wants to pop on. Everybody wants like some people want a personal invite, and this is like, no, you're not gonna get a personal invite. If you want to pop on, you can pop on. But yeah, so the whole thing with Tupac's killer, the stimulus, I don't, the coronavirus, it is what it is. Just ask that you guys protect yourself and, stay inside if you need to. For those of us that are essential personnel, we thank you for your service and we ask that you continue to stay safe as well. But I think that's all I really had. Oh, and as far as the Republican rally cry to have seniors go back to work or to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, I think that that's absolutely ridiculous, and that shows a lack of respect and honor for a lot of people. I mean, because if that's the case, to be very frank, a lot of Congress should be the first ones to volunteer themselves, and they're not going to. So for you to ask regular Americans to volunteer themselves as if they're doing a greater good for the country is absolutely ridiculous. And as a human being, I think that that's absolutely appalling. Excuse me. Stay off those apps. Right. Please stay off those apps. It's shameful. It is. That sounds real cultish. Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yep. But that's all I had, guys. I didn't really have anything else. I know everybody else is bored and doing other things, so it is what it is. But I like to be consistent. So whether it's just 7 or 17 or 77, as long as we get to touch base with each other, I think it's cool. Trust me, I read all your comments. I comment to those that aren't too far off. But again, sometimes if it's just a thank you for the good work, I just gives a thumbs up. But I do enjoy the comments. I love to go back and forth. I love to hear your thoughts on a lot of things and issues. And please, thank you so much for emailing me. And if you do come across something that you think it'll be important or something that you would like to discuss or have be discussed, please email me. I will put it in the I should have it already in the thing, but I don't. Email. So if you come across something, just email me. And that's it. I don't have anything else. So unless you guys, substance counts. For me, it's all about substance. It's always good to joke around and ha ha ha, but there are really serious things going on, and we, gloss it over so much with stuff that's unimportant. The stuff that is important get swiped right under our noses, and before long, when we start to realize, hey, what's going on, it'll be too late. So just trying to bring awareness to those things that really affect us in times like this, to where in which we are most affected because of the lack of resources that a lot of our communities have. This whole pandemic affects us a lot greater than it would others. We have a lot of pre-existing conditions, due to diet and different other things, and some things hereditary. So, those are things that we need to be mindful of. Yep. Oh, no problem, Armand. Thank you for joining, and thank you for your continued support. And for everyone, thank you so much for your continued support, your encouraging words. They mean a great deal. They push this train forward. It's not always popular to do or to talk about true stuff, but it's needed. You know what I'm saying? So I never take that for granted. So it's always good. And it's always good to see you guys pop in and your comments. I look forward to it because I know sometimes we're going to go back and forth like, oh, that's a good point. Or, I didn't think about that. So that was good. So I definitely look forward to it and encourage it. So, yeah. But with that said, guys, I am going to go and just, I guess, chill out for the rest of today. You may see me around later, but you'll definitely see me in other people's politics or political journalism. You're just saying, I'll think about it. Definitely see me around in the chats because I try to pop in to everybody. I mean, I may not stay because, sometimes if it's going left, I just bow out. I don't usually stay in that, but I do try to support everyone because again, YouTube is so vast and we don't need to put ourselves or pigeonhole ourselves. Why must we always pigeonhole ourselves and others can go anywhere? We should be able to all go everywhere and not we should only stay in this section. For what? For what? You can't say segregation is over yet segregate yourself. So it's like don't even have that kind of mentality. We should be able to go wherever and do whatever. Yes, knowledge is power. Sometimes I wonder when the right. That's very true. It's very, very true. Music trivia. Really? I'm good at it. I'm good at it if I'm playing. I'm not really good at like thinking of questions and stuff. Like if I'm playing, I'm pretty good. I'm all over the YouTube universe. Right. Me too. And then I'm trying to figure out how they getting all these subscribers and things when they really don't be doing anything. I mean, it'd be like, how? The survey I took about Andrew Gillum. Yeah, that's a good question. Do I think it was a setup? Yes, I think Andrew Gillum was set up. However, part of me, like I said, person can't set you up without knowing something about you, something to lure you in. And I think that whole him possibly being bisexual, or I don't like the term DL, but just very private about his sexuality, was the ushering door. I think whomever knew that and everything else was circumstance. But once they knew, okay, this is what he likes to get into, we're gonna go for it. I never forget. I had a friend who was running for city council in PG County years ago, and I'll be the youngest ever. And I'm just like, dude, be careful. Like, I get it. You're gonna be the youngest. That's gonna be a big thing, but be careful because people that sit on council boards don't like to give up their seats. You know what I'm saying? And being that he was very popular, he was rising in the polls, and there was a possibility that he was going to take this man's seat who's been sitting on this board for like 20 years. I was like, they're going to gun for you. So be prepared. Oh, he didn't want to listen to me. Thought I was talking stupid. Long story short, they discovered that his whole time while he was running, that he was engaged in interactions with this underage teen. he was 17 at the time, but he was still in high school. And I mean, the man was taking him on trips with him and all this other kind of stuff. He told the guy he was 19. He told the guy he was 19, but he lied. So come to find out, all that stuff came out, and he wound up losing his seat, of course, because he had to just leave. He wound up leaving the state, and all this stuff happened. So that's why I say, you have to be like, just because the election is over does not mean it's over. And that's sad, and it's even sadder that we can't live in our truths, but know that it's important, to kind of keep yourself to, hey, always know, like, don't sleep on the fact that somebody may be out to get you, because it happens. Just because you didn't win does not mean they were like, oh, okay, he didn't win, forget about him. No, they saw promise. They saw how close Florida was turning, and how much of an influence your presence gave to the state of Florida, that, oh, we could actually flip this. It came close enough to where they were worried. So they had to get something on you to make sure that, you couldn't rise in the scheme of things. I just think that was, yes, they saw his weakness and seized an opportunity. Yeah, definitely. I just think that was just a disservice. Like, it frustrates me so much that I'm just like, Dad, you had it, like, you had it. And granted, I think, and this is men and women alike, I think, especially as Black people, we have this thing of not being true to ourselves, keeping stuff quiet, keeping all these secrets and skeletons in the closet and family secrets and all these things. And I think we do ourselves a disservice. There's nothing, people had to do things in their past that they may be ashamed of, but you don't have to continuously carry that and then hand that down to your children and grandchildren. Free yourself of those things. Sit down, air it all out. You never know what kind of encouraging affirmations you may be placing in the younger generation when you do those things. I think it's we just, and trust, I'm coming from a family that secrets, please, you be like, and you always learn these things when other people have passed, because the people that have passed have been the holders of such secrets that, when that person passed, you find out, oh, this one, that's not really their father. This one's not really, and you like, what was, why couldn't you just say that? Why couldn't you just say, there would be no embarrassment? I mean, yeah, the person would feel some type of way because you got them saying, hey, father, hey, mom, hey, this, that, for years, thinking that was, their person. And the whole time it's like, so of course, yeah, somebody's going to be angry, but I just think we do ourselves a disservice to just hold on to these secrets and just not be our true selves. I think he would have, I mean, yeah, some people are really stuck in their ways and they probably wouldn't have seen it for him, voted for him. But I think a lot of people would have honored the fact that he was being true to himself. And they may have. I mean, you just have to take that chance. But I think it's better when you live in your truth and who you are and you stand in it, than you try to kind of dibble dabble and kind of, hide it in the surface, because somebody's watching all the time. So, when you think you covering something up, somebody's watching. And I just think, it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. I mean, you could tell us the setup. I mean, you sitting there and you throw up and somebody's actually, you see their foot obviously taking pictures, and then you see the other pictures where there are pills thrown over here, pills thrown over here. I mean, let's be very clear. Anybody who's doing something like that, the whole thing looks staged. The whole environment looks staged. So I don't buy it. And again, I do think that there's something there because they had to usher him in. You know what I'm saying? So if there is some kind of sexuality conflict there, then let it be what it is. But we need to just stop living in that, oh, I can't be myself. I can't let the people know who I am. No, speak your truth. Be who you are. Be who you are. Yeah. You put your bones in storage. I just feel like we really do. We need to definitely a lot of my family members' funerals. Right. Long lost children show up. Right. I'm waiting for my biological father, because I was raised by my stepdad, but I'm waiting for the day, God forbid, of course, maybe, that my biological father kicks the bucket so I could really discover that, oh, he's got all these other extra kids. That is just, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. At some point we need to say enough's enough, and get rid of this kind of, I don't know if it's a macho mentality, but this whole thing of you're more of a man when you're spreading your kid seed around than being there, being responsible, loving on your family and just that nucleus of a family, and not having your family and then your girlfriend and you're this and you're that. I I just don't. I don't believe it. I think some things are generational mindsets. Right, that's true. And the keeping secret mindset. Yeah, that is true. But I mean, at some point, we need to break it. I mean, at some point, you need to elevate, and because it hurts the people. You know, it hurts the people that the secret was kept from. Because when the secret didn't comes out, they're older, and they're like, wait a minute. So the whole time, this and that was a lie. And at that point, then you're looked at as untrustworthy. So, you know, it's a cautionary tale that, you know, you got to be careful. Oh, we found out my aunt. Wow. Wow. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And people do. They're devastated because that was kept for them for so long. And, you know, you played the role. Uh, right. 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 And that's the only reason why she was upset, is because it got out in the public. Other than that, for years she's known. So yeah, but I don't know. But I definitely think it's a setup. And it's unfortunate, but um, you know, will he be able to come back from that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But again, um, it's the same thing I say about the vote. When people say, "Oh, my vote, it don't count anyway. It's not important." They're trying to take it from you. Anything they try and take from you, trust and believe they see it. They see the potential in it, or the potential of everybody using it more than you see it. Like they saw the potential in Andrew Gillum and what he could really do to Florida if he were to go at it again, um, and rerun for the gubernatorial race. They saw that, um, just like they see it with the vote. Hey, if these people really get their sense and go out and vote, they could change everything that we set up. How can we stop this? So, you know, and again, this plays into, please make sure that you fill out your census. You don't have to get up and, you know, put it in the mailbox. You can do it online. Go to thecensus.org and you can fill it out there. 10 minutes of your time. Right. And some marriages are arranged. That is true. And let's be very clear. Some marriages are arranged on other ends. Some women want to be first ladies, or they want to be a political wife, and they'll deal with everything else that comes along. Um, you know, so sometimes it's not all about the husband wanting the political aspiration and the wife just putting up with it to shut up. Sometimes the wife knows, hey, this is what Prime example, House of Cards. I think it was season 2. I think season 2. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure season 2 might have been season 1. Season 1 or season 2. But anyway, Frank Underwood, he went back to college for a college reunion or whatever, and came across one of his old roommates, and you kind of allege that they were really close friends in the beginning, and then later on, come to find out, bam, they've had some kind of sexual thing because they wind up messing around again. And Claire, his wife, she knew it, but it was a kind of like understanding that was his thing. Because she called his phone or something. She called his phone, and he answered the first time, and but you could tell it was awkward. And then when she called back, he didn't answer. He was too busy involved in what you call it. But she didn't question him about it. She didn't, it was like, okay, that was your moment. You had it. You're back home. Now we're back to being husband and wife. So a lot of times, the wife, sometimes knows that stuff is going on or whatever it is, but it's to you to keep it discreet and under wraps and keep it moving. Hey Gigi, how you doing? I used to love House of Cards until Trump. Like, yeah, really, like no joke, like really, I love House of Cards too, but he is really Frank Underwood in a retarded way. Definitely not political savvy at all, like Frank, but greedy, corrupt, that whole thing. In that way, yeah. Right, yeah, exactly. If you had the money, that's what it was about. So yeah, definitely good point. Yep. But yeah. So that's what I feel about that. But hopefully at some point we get it together and have a president that can usher some things back into reality. That this is not a television show. This is not a reality show. We are not glued to the screen trying to figure out, well, what is he going to say next, or what is he going to do? When there's people's lives in the balance, I think it's far more important that we really look for someone who's a true leader and not just a showman. Because as you can see, you see where showmanship gets you. It's only for the lights and the cameras, and once the lights and the cameras are off, there's nothing. It's just like the scene in The Wiz, when they go back from Eveline's house and they figure out that, oh, it's just Richard Pryor. Like, all this grandeur when you go the first time, and it's aloof when you come back. So it's kind of sort of how his whole thing is. They built this man up to be like, oh, he's rich, he's in real estate, he's this, he's that. Come to find out that he's not really that rich. He doesn't really deal in real estate. He sells his name, and that's how he makes his money. So, but with that, I'm gonna go for real now. Not only money, but family alliances as well. Right, that's true too. But on that note, I'm gonna really go now, guys. So it's been great. Hope to see you guys around. Thank you so much for joining the recap. I ask that you please like, share, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And also, please stay safe. Make sure you're washing your hands and, keeping yourself and your surfaces as clean as possible. Any other new little tips and things I find out from the CDC or any place else, I will make sure to post it in my community wall to make sure, everybody If you didn't know, now you know. So with that, peace, guys. Have a great weekend.